So today we'll be working in my workbook called Abram's Trials of Faith. And we have already done chapter 1, where Abram's family travels to Haran, and then chapter 2, where Abram gets his call from God. So now we're going to work on chapter 3, Abram's journey to Egypt. Okay. Abram's journey to Egypt. And so we already see the route here. This will be Genesis 12:10 through 20. Genesis 12:10. Now there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down to Egypt to live there for a while because the famine was severe. This is one trial that God gives Abram. Let's see how he handles this one. Remember that the whole book is called The Trials of Abram, and he does go through several. Where is Abram and his group prior to this verse? If you remember, he is in the Negev desert at the very bottom edge of the land of Canaan. What is the present problem? There's a famine in the land. Did God tell Abram to go to Egypt? Did we see anywhere here where God tells Abram to go to Egypt? No, we don't see that at all. What does God say to Abram in Genesis 12:2? So looking at Genesis 12:2, he says that he will bless him. So if that's true, look, question number 5. Even though there's a famine in the land, based on the blessing, do you think God would have taken care of Abram and his household in the area of Negev? Yes, if God's going to bless him, he's going to also take care of him through the times of trial. But Abram is still new in his faith and doesn't keep all those things in his mind. Where does Abram and his entourage travel to due to the famine? Egypt. We know that Abram's faith in God is fairly new, as we know that his family worshiped many gods prior to his travel to Canaan. Is he trusting in God to take care of him when he decides to go to Egypt without God's direction to go? No, he's not. He's not trusting God to take care of him and his family and his household. He has made the decision on his own to go to Egypt to take care of all of them. It is easy in our 2020 hindsight to wonder why he did not trust God to provide. He had a large group with him with many mouths to feed and many livestock to take care of. He did what probably is natural for those who live in tents, to travel where the land could provide for his group. He probably didn't even think to ask God to provide or even consider God would help. Just like many new Christians, Abram did not know the power they had in prayer and dependence on the Lord to provide for their needs. The scripture continues. Genesis 12:11. As he was about to enter Egypt, he said to his wife Sarai, I know what a beautiful woman you are. And this is what she's at 65 or older. I wish I was that pretty at 65. When the Egyptians see you, they will say, this is his wife. Then they will kill me, but will let you live. Say you are my sister, so that I'll be treated well for your sake, and my life will be spared because of you. We know that Abram is at least 75 years of age and his wife is 10 years younger. So Sarai has to be at least 65 years of age, probably older. Both of them probably older at this story. Abram is afraid for his life because Sarai is so beautiful. Instead of saying she is his wife, Abram wants Sarai to say that she is his sister. Is Abram having Sarai tell a total lie or a partial truth? She is his half-sister, but it's kind of a partial truth, isn't it? Because she's also his wife. If Sarai is thought to be his sister and not his wife, how will Abram be treated? He will be treated well because they would like to have Sarai as their wife because she's so beautiful. Is this what God would have wanted Abram to do? No, he never bothered to ask God what to do, and he's lying, so we know it's not what God wanted him to do. If Abram was truthful, would God have protected him? Yes, indeed, he would have protected him and Sarai if he was truthful. Abram has gone to Egypt without God's direction, and now he's lying to protect his family instead of depending on God to do so. So far, this trial is not going well. Genesis 12:14. When Abram came to Egypt, the Egyptians saw that Sarai was a very beautiful woman. And when Pharaoh's officials saw her, they praised her to Pharaoh, and she was taken into his palace. He treated Abram well for her sake. Abram acquired sheep and cattle, male and female donkeys, male and female servants, and camels. This was like a dowry for Sarah. Did the Egyptians consider Sarai beautiful? Absolutely. She was gorgeous according to their standards. Um, where was Sarai taken? She was taken into the palace as part of the harem of the king. What did the Pharaoh give to Abram in return for taking Sarai? Sheep, cattle, male and female donkeys, male and female servants, and camels. And write down Genesis 12:2 here. Genesis 12:2. I have to go back to figure it out. Genesis 12:2 says, I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you and I'll make your name great and you will be a blessing. If Sarah had any physical relations with Pharaoh, could they ever be sure that the child she had was Abram's? No. So this is really plain and dangerous ground, isn't it? Here we have a situation where a person trusted his own instincts instead of God's to take care of him. Abram saw the famine and he took care of his family instead of letting God take care of his family. He was concerned about his own life in Egypt, so he lies, which gets him into more trouble. Now, how is he going to protect his wife? I imagine, just like us in situations we get into, there was a lot of prayers to God to fix what we would see as an impossible situation. Genesis 12:17. But the Lord inflicted serious diseases on Pharaoh and his household because of Abram's wife Sarai. If he had serious diseases, he couldn't consummate, for one thing. So Pharaoh summoned Abram. What have you done to me? He said. Why didn't you tell me she was your wife? Why did you say she is my sister so that I took her to be my wife? Now then, here is your wife. Take her and go. So obviously they hadn't consummated, or he wouldn't have let her go. How did God make sure that Sarai did not have relations with Pharaoh? He put on serious diseases on both Pharaoh and his household. Did the Pharaoh find out that Sarai was Abram's wife? Yes, he did. How do you think Pharaoh found out? We don't have any reference here at all. The only thing I would say to you is that Abram loved his wife Sarah very much. So he probably was hanging around, and perhaps they got a little too close one time, and the servants probably talked to people around them, and these things is probably how it happened. But somehow or another, either that or Pharaoh had a vision and understood what was going on, one way or the other. Did the fact that Sarai was Abram's wife make a difference to Pharaoh? Yes. It made quite a difference if she was already a person's wife. He had the moral character in the fact that he did not take on someone else's wife. What did Pharaoh do when he found out Sarah was Abram's wife? He summoned Abram into his palace and accused him of saying, why did you not tell us she was your wife? In his handling of this situation, did Abram give a good testimony of being a child of God to Pharaoh? Absolutely not. He lied and almost caused a major commotion in Pharaoh's household. So this was not a good result of this trial. Do you think the serious diseases disappeared after Sarai was removed from the Pharaoh's household? We actually don't have the answer to that, but we can assume that that's happened. When she left, the diseases that were inflicted due to her being there were then taken care of because Pharaoh did the right thing and gave her back. Genesis 12:20. Then Pharaoh gave orders about Abram to his men, and they sent him on his way with his wife and everything they had. So he was pushed out of Egypt. It would have been better if he told the truth when he went into Egypt. So let's look at our crossword. Abram wanted Sarai to lie because she was very beautiful. Number 3 is beautiful. Number 5, who returned Sarai to Abram? That was the Pharaoh. Pharaoh returned Sarai to Abram. Number 7, in Egypt, where was Sarai taken? Palace. She was taken to the palace. And 8, where did Abram go from Negev? Abram went to Egypt from Negev. 1 down. In exchange for Sarai, Abram got sheep, cattle, um, sheep, cattle, 1 down, donkeys, sheep, cattle, donkeys, servants, and camels. Number 2, the Lord inflicted various diseases on Pharaoh's household. And number 4, why did Abram move his household to Egypt? The famine. And number 6, Abram told Sarai to tell everyone she was his sister. So that's the end of this chapter. I hope you enjoy it. Bye now.